Today we have two speakers to visit and talk about resume writing and the job research process. They are Katie Creole from Reuters CPA Review and Brittany Van Zandt from Deloitte in Seattle. And we will also provide a special time for question and answer at the end of the presentation. Please join me in thanking Katie and Brittany for their coming tonight.
How are you guys doing?
Good. Staying dry.
I know.
I was laughing. It started to rain like right as I was getting out of my car.
Really? It's freezing now.
Yeah.
So before we get started, we kind of want to understand who is in the room. So how many of you guys are in the first 2 years and will be transferring? How many of you are in the CPA program? How many of you are not accounting? Okay, so you're all accounting. This is good because we have a couple slides to talk about different specific careers in accounting. So that's good. Well, like she said, I'm Katie. This is Brittany, and we're going to be talking about resume writing and the job application process. A little bit of background, I guess, on who we are. I've got a slide. Let's see. Reuters CPA Review. We are a review course for the CPA exam. So when you guys are ready to sit for the CPA exam, it's a lot of study time, and we help you prepare. We're the fastest growing review course in the country. We have deals with a lot of firms and companies, which means that they pay for you guys to take our course, and it's really fun. So that's cool.
Yes.
And Brittany has a great background.
So Katie and I have actually worked together quite a bit. I work for Deloitte, as you all know. I actually started with Deloitte in audit and was an auditor for 2 years in our Seattle practice. And then I decided to change course and became a recruiter. And I actually left Deloitte and worked for Robert Half. Has anybody heard of account temps, Robert Half? I worked in account temps. So I did that for about 1.5 years. It was very hard work. And then Deloitte called me because their campus recruiting position had opened up. So I applied for that, came back to Deloitte and did that for about the last 4 years. I shouldn't even say that. It's been almost a year that I've actually been in a new role at Deloitte, and I'm actually the HR manager for audit now. So I help with HR issues. I schedule all our auditors, so get them placed on our numerous different clients around the area, go through performance evaluations, which is what we're doing this week. So as I said, I got to get out of work early, which was nice because it was a crazy day today. So that's my background with Deloitte, but also a CPA, and hopefully you find the information that we have helpful. And one thing that I didn't touch on, and I'm guessing a lot of people know what Deloitte does, but Deloitte's a public accounting firm. So we have audit and tax, consulting and advisory as our main service lines, and a few others as well, but those are the main ones that most of you will probably know about.
And she's being modest. It's the biggest public accounting firm in the world. So
Is it really now?
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
that. So we're the biggest in Seattle. I knew that much. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started. First of all, kind of some things we're going to go through, evaluating goals, because it's good to know as you go into this job process, kind of where you want to be and where you see yourself. Second, purpose of your resume, why put together a resume, formatting it, do's and don'ts. We're going to go over some, different things to do and not to do. Then the job process, how to apply, where to even start in that whole process. And then we'll touch on the CPA exam, but probably not very much because a lot of you, that's a couple years out. So if you have questions throughout the whole thing, please raise your hand. Brittany and I are really flexible, so then we know kind of where to spend more time talking and less time. So, okay, first of all, life priorities. We all have priorities in life, whether they be physical, family, financial, mental, spiritual, career versus job. Different things that weigh heavy in our lives. And as you can see by all these different lines, they're all interconnected because one thing isn't separate from the other. They're all together. And where you are right now, say your main goal right now is career versus job. You want to find that job, you're going to school, that's your goal. That's awesome. Maybe family is not so important. You're like, okay, in a few years I'll get married. Or maybe family is one of the most important things. That's why you're getting a job, is because of your family. You want that work-life balance. But as you go through life, some of these might change, and your priorities will change, and that's very much okay. And one thing I'll point is the job process doesn't stop right when you get a job. As you go throughout your career, the skills that you use to get that first job, they're going to carry with you throughout. So think about where your priorities lie. And here's some in your career sphere, and these are all very important to consider when looking for a job. Now here's a pyramid I put together. Might not be your pyramid or the pyramid of the person next to you, but these are all different things to consider. First of all, salary. Is salary the most important aspect in looking for a job? You just want $1 million right out of college. Is that your goal? Maybe, maybe not. But that could be benefits. Some companies have very good benefits. Maybe you have 10 children and you want to make sure that they're all covered. I don't know, maybe. Security, especially in a job market like today, security in a job is very important. So look at companies that are, very secure. Advancement. Is advancement important? You want the opportunity to grow within a company. If perhaps a startup might not have as many opportunities for advancement as, say, Deloitte, where you can advance all the way to partner if you're talented and you work hard and you get there. Or job satisfaction is the last one. Is being happy, what you want. You want a fun environment or have that feel good. And maybe the salary outweighs it. So you're like, I don't care if I'm not happy in my job as long as I'm making $1 million. And that's your job satisfaction, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, and these probably change. I know Katie already mentioned that everybody's pyramid may not look the same, but they'll change for all of you throughout your careers. I think that's been my single largest learning opportunity or lesson learned, you could say, from being in the business world thus far, is that when I first started, it was really just the people I worked with. You could make me do anything. I wouldn't care if I had fun, if I met new people, if I learned new things. That was great. Now I have 2 kids, and it's definitely about security, and it's about what's my future growth with this company. What can I do 3, 4, 5 years from now instead of, hey, am I just having fun every day? And those things definitely change, so be flexible about it. On the last slide, Katie mentioned that all the different aspects of your life play into you finding that right job. And so, be open that when you really get out there, it may not be what you thought it was until you start trying new things. And the biggest key point I always tell people is once you get into that job, remember it's a marathon. It's not a race to the finish. Really enjoy what you're learning on a daily basis and figuring out what's most important to you, because that's what's going to help you make the right choices for your career long term.
Okay, so it's also when you're considering your choices and what you want to do, work-life balance, salary, security, all these different aspects, it's good to know what qualities different companies have. So there are 3 different avenues in accounting, and they are public, which is what Deloitte is, a public accounting firm. There is private, which are companies like Costco, Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing. And then there is government. So Brittany, do you want to talk about public, because you are public accounting and some of the different aspects of that?
Of course. So who knows what the point of a public accounting firm is? What's the point of what we do? I guess I'll say from the audit side. Anyone? I'm sure there's, yeah.
Provide accounting know-how to businesses that don't have any expertise in that area.
Yeah, definitely. In some cases, that's what it is. For I think the larger firms, really what we're doing is we're providing some sort of security for the investor. Somebody else other than that company has looked at these financial statements and has verified that, yes, to the best of our knowledge, these financial statements look correct. You can trust their revenue stream. You can trust what they're saying their future goals are for the company. And you can trust it enough to invest in it should you choose to do that. For a lot of us large firms, that's really who we're out there trying to help, is the investor. So any of you. Definitely when you're looking at public accounting, as Katie has up here, there's large firms like mine, and most of our clients are public companies, although we do a lot of government auditing. I actually learned, I was at a training, I was telling Katie, we opened a university, Deloitte did, this year, And I was lucky enough to be one of the first groups to go to a training, a manager training there. And I learned a lot about our federal practice. So, we serve a lot of government clients as well, but a lot of the clients that you'll hear about are public companies, and we're really giving investors security. However, if you're going to a regional firm or, even a smaller, maybe, one office type of accounting firm, they'll do exactly that. They'll help companies with their accounting and providing knowledge that maybe that company didn't already have. So those are kind of the different aspects when you look at public accounting, and trying to find where you fit best is really important. What types of clients do you want to work on? If you are working on public clients, yes, we do provide security to the investor, but it's a fine line for us between providing that security and telling management that we think they need to do something differently, because we can't consult. We have to remain independent. Whereas if you're at a small firm, you may not encounter that as much. You really can get down and really sit with your clients and say, okay, this is what I think you should do. So trying to figure out, what is really important to you will help you kind of differentiate between the large and then the smaller public accounting firms.
Again, any questions, just raise your hand, let us know. The next one is private accounting, and again, this would be working in-house at Boeing, at Microsoft, at Costco, being their accountant. And the wonderful thing about being an accountant and going into accounting is everybody needs accountants. Yay, job security. So that's great, because you know that there's always going to be something out there. Accounting's never going to go away. You really have an opportunity to specialize in an industry if there is a special industry you want to go into, whether it's technology or aviation or food service, whatever it may be, you have that opportunity to specialize. Also, what's great about private accounting is there might be stock options that you might get. I have a friend who works for Amazon, or she worked for Amazon, and she actually bought her house using her stock options that she had from Amazon. So, well, down payment, but still it helps. Different benefits. You might be on the management track if you want to start in accounting and then move towards the management side and less accounting. That is available, so that's something to consider as well. Government. This can be working for any government agency, state auditor's office, IRS, FBI. You might be able to carry a gun on your leg if you work for the, what is it? FBI? IRS.
I actually worked, but when I was a second year, we hired someone from the IRS. So my senior on one of my jobs had been an IRS agent and literally had to go on raids for people that were tax evasion, whatever different schemes you can think of. They found them and they would go into their homes with their guns. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever heard from an accountant, but okay. So you
Counting
never
can be
know.
exciting.
Yeah.
You never know. Some other great things. Usually with government, the pay starts out a little bit lower, but that work-life balance is there. You're only going to be working 40 hours a week. You get holidays off. Whereas public accounting, you might be working 50, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes, bringing us up till 1:30 one last
But
night.
it's my busy week.
But it's busy. That's not difficult. But there are those busy seasons in public accounting.
Yeah.
But they do.
Busy
Accordingly, for
seasons,
sure.
and I think it's indicative of any client service industry. If something happens with one of our clients, a new transaction, they issue new debt, whatever it might be, they're going to need, and they're a public company, that's going to get out in public soon. It needs to be announced, and we need to have already signed off that yes, we've tested this deal and it's correct. So a lot of times in client service, it can be tougher because to deal with scheduling, because you might not know in advance that something's going to come up, and you get called in at the last second to help work on that, which again can increase your hours. And our clients need to issue their financial statements, but they can't do so until we've signed off on them, which is why there's tight deadlines for us to complete our audit and gain assurance around those financial statements so that they can release the information to the public. So yeah, but it's with all of that added hours and pressure, the thing that I found the neatest about being in public accounting and working on public jobs is that I would literally know what my clients' financial statements look like before anybody else did. And maybe that's weird, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I would know, say if I was on Boeing, what their financial outlook was before the general public would. And you know, so you have to have a lot of integrity working in that industry because that's information that can't be leaked. There can't be insider trading, you know, there can't be facts leaked out beforehand. So it's kind of it's a lot of responsibility, but it's kind of an empowering feeling as well, I guess.
Yeah.
And one point is that if you go down one of these different tracks, that doesn't mean you can't switch and change over. A lot of people
That's a
start
great
out in
point.
public accounting, move into private business or government. I even worked with an auditor who had worked for government for 20 years before she went into auditing and became one of our auditors and such. So there's a lot of opportunity to move around within accounting.
Definitely.
Okay, getting to the meat of why you guys are all here. You're like, okay, just get to the resume part. Purpose of the resume obviously is to highlight important information, share who you are, give a snapshot of who you are. You know, you can put on your accounting experience, obviously include leadership roles. You really, though, want to form an image for a potential employer. How many, when you got the big stack of resumes, how long would you spend on each resume at like first glance?
Very little time. An exact amount of time, I don't know.
15 seconds?
Probably, yeah.
15 seconds. So that means you have 15 seconds to say, this is who I am, take a second look, I'm worth getting an interview or at least having another pair of eyes on you. So that's where formatting probably really comes into play
Yes.
first and foremost.
Formatting, yeah, the items that you find most important about your background, or that you, not that you find even, that you think the interviewer or the resume reviewer would find most important about your resume need to stand out. And it needs to be represented in a clear, concise fashion as well that is easy for somebody to quickly follow and take a look at without getting lost in too much verbiage or colors or, you know.
Don't
Scented
perfume,
paper.
yeah, scented
Yeah.
paper. So we'll go down kind of the resume pre-planning. What to do before you put together this resume to attract the right employer. So first of all, you want to attract the job that you want. What does this require you to do? Go research the company, the job, see what they're looking for. If it's a accounting position at Deloitte, I wouldn't recommend any experience is good coming out of college, but if you worked as a server in a restaurant, make sure you put stuff that's up there. So track the job you want, use keywords that they use in their job posting. Do those. Outline thoughts and ideas for jobs desired. Review resume guides and samples. You guys have a career center here that helps.
Not so much right now.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't have a career center, but I'm sure Joe would love to look over your resumes. We would be happy, right?
There's
You can
lots
send
of
to us.
online resources.
Yes, lots of online resources, to look over your resumes and get that first glance. But
And I think key, Katie mentioned knowing the job that you want. One thing that I've always done, I did it recently for the new position I'm in, I printed out the job description and I just went through and highlighted the areas that I could tell were important to them because they were either mentioned a lot or they said required qualifications, whatever it might be. I highlighted those, then I went through everything I've done and I completely gutted my resume and started over. All of you from any job you have, whether it is a server are going, or an accountant, you're going to have examples of ways that you have performed in a fashion that meets that qualification. You just have to really think about it. So, if you were a server and one of the qualifications is, exceptional client service, well, of course, if you were a server, maybe you mentioned that you got server of the month or, you found, I don't know if joy is the right word, but excitement in working with customers through, or tougher customers and helping them leave happy, whatever it might be. Figure out a way to tailor your job duties to the job description that you're looking at. You never have to be concerned, especially straight out of college, that you don't have the exact job duties that this company is looking for, because they understand that. Oftentimes, they would prefer to train you in the way that they would like to train you anyhow, so.
yeah, absolutely. So here's kind of a format template. We're going to go through each of these individually, but first and foremost, you want your contact information, name, address, email, well, maybe not address. What do you think about address? So.
I think a lot of people put their address on there.
Yeah. Email, phone number, right at the top. Objective and summary of qualifications, what your experience is, education, additional info, and references. One thing I will say, summary of qualifications,
Give or take.
give or take.
I think as long as you cover those again and maybe your job duties or the description of your job duties, then you'll be covered. A couple things with contact information. Keep in mind I just know you're going to talk about it. Nice. Okay, see, this is an exact example. It's funny, this email address, but I've seen interesting ones, like Naughty Little Redhead was one, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not probably what you should have on your resume.
That's not who you want to send out to your clients.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So, keep that in mind, and keep in mind that, maybe you never know who's going to be reviewing your resume. They may not be of the same generation as you, they may not be of the same culture as you, and who knows? And so just simpler the better. First name, last name, whatever you want, just simple is good. And with your phone, I don't see these as much anymore, but ringback tones, if any of you have ringback tones. There are a couple times when a candidate's gone all the way through the interview process. I, give the partner their contact information. We're going to call and offer them a job, and the partner calls. They're like, what on earth is this song playing on this person's phone? So all of those things, or your voicemail, whatever it might be, just keep it professional, because those are all small little instances where the interviewee gets to connect and learn a little bit more about you, and you want it to always be professional.
No voicemails like, hey, what's up? Can you hear?
Yes, exactly.
Professional. Yeah. Crazy ones. Then put your objective, concise, specific career goals. And this can be a one-sentence statement. Again, it's one of those give or take items. I've had a lot of questions, and I think it really applies in North Seattle there's a group of younger traditional students, and then there's the returning students. And would you say that for those returning students with a lot more experience, that an objective kind of saying kind of where they're coming from helps?
Definitely, it can help.
Yeah, absolutely. But concise, specific career goals, one sentence, saying that you're looking to obtain a job at so-and-so within this kind of category.
Yeah.
Then a summary of qualifications. And again, this is one of those, either you have it in your experience or you can list it, but some of the different things that you're good at. Recommended for experienced professionals, 3 to 10 bullets. Again, clear, concise.
Yeah, and I would say, a lot of times we'll see these on resumes. Try to shy away from have used like Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word. We pretty much nowadays assume that everyone has used those programs, so you don't need to state that maybe, or you can, but it's not going to differentiate you from anyone, and this is the whole point of your resume, is to differentiate you. Also, team player, or like to work with people person, not differentiating you at all. Yeah. So if there are qualifications and you're going to put it on there, make sure they truly are qualifications that kind of set you apart or make you specifically qualified for this specific job.
That's a very good point that Brittany brought up is, when people throw out words like people person and charismatic. One thing I remember in college, I took a news writing class. And in our articles, they said one thing that was really important is to show, not tell. Show how somebody was excited. Don't say that they were excited. Show how someone was a people person. Don't say that someone was a people person. So when you get to your experience and you're talking about what that you've done, show what you've done rather than saying, met the sales quota for the year. Say I met 2,000 sales doing da 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 da. Show what you've done instead of just telling what you've done.
Definitely.
Use action verbs at the beginning and use them all in the same tense.